Christmas tree, have a Christmas party hop. Mistletoe hung where you can see every couple trying to stop. Rocking around the Christmas tree, let the Christmas spirit ring. Later we'll have some pumpkin pie and we'll do some caroling.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Carling in Off the Bar. 3-3 then, Arsenal and Liverpool. My guest this evening, Matt Lucas, is here, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you.
Phil Babb is here. And Danny Mills. Now, Matt, you went to the game.
I went to the game.
OK, now, since you left and before you came back, drink has been taken
I can tell.
by the audience, so we apologise in advance of anything you may or may not hear. But how was the game from where you were?
Well, I tell you what, Arsenal in the first half just weren't in it. And when that second goal went in for Liverpool, shouts of Wenger out were going around the ground. But
were you saying them?
Started
by you?
Not started by me. I was listening. I wasn't joining
Internally.
in. I wasn't joining in.
You were
but I'm not biting because I'm not going to be part of this narrative. But 3-2 to Arsenal. I will say Arsenal could have been 3-0 down by half-time. So any Arsenal fan today will be very happy with that result, I think.
Was it a good game, Phil? I mean, it was exciting, but it was a weird football match, wasn't it?
It was weird, you know, just thinking that Liverpool could have put the game really out of sight by half-time. There's a couple of big chances missed from Salah. Mane's overhead kick should have hit the target. But just the turnaround in such dramatic fashion, of course, it changed the course of the game, but it got everyone lifted and excited, and you didn't know which way it was going to go, how it was going to end.
That was the loudest I've heard the Emirates.
Really, when that third went in?
Emirates ever, yeah.
And that was a beautiful goal, the Ozil goal, wasn't it? But it was 388 seconds or something ridiculous between being 2-0 down to going to 3-2 up.
Let's call it 6 minutes,
okay.
Max. It might be easy for people to work out this time of night.
Yeah.
But I mean, it was incredible games. Arsenal didn't have a shot on target in the first half. As Matt said, they might as well not have bothered. And then suddenly to score 3, and it looked like, well, they're now going to go on and win it, and then they concede another one. It was ridiculous. You know, it was just, you couldn't decide which way it was going to go, who played well, who didn't. Some of the substitutions were questionable. You know, Klopp's emotion on the sideline, he went from deliriously happy to throwing things and almost having an heart attack, I think.
Do you know Liverpool, sorry, Danny, they've dropped the most points in all the major leagues in Europe.
From winning positions?
From winning positions. 43 points they've dropped since Klopp took over in 2015. It's incredible, isn't it?
They need a better goalkeeper. They just need a better goalkeeper.
I don't think you saw it on the replay. It was... Mignolet was terrible.
Well, Matt came in and said Xhaka's goal was good, and actually I thought he struck it well, and actually as he was shooting, Danny went, he's having a laugh. Oh, it was one of those, wasn't it?
Well, because, I mean, he's had loads of shots from that sort of distance this season, and they've all pretty much cleared the stand. It was in the middle of the goal. I don't know.
It's a slight swerve.
But it didn't move that much.
But if you're a defender, and you see that shot happening, and you look round and your keeper lets it in,
if he hits that and it's going straight to the keeper, I'm turning around and running the other way because I think he's caught it and he's going to do whatever with it. It was just... I think there's no excuse for that.
Even some of the punters in here were saying, well, why has he gone with one hand? Why don't you put 2 hands and try and get enough mass behind it to stop it?
Or why didn't he put his hand in his glove? Might have helped.
But I mean, it's the biggest story from this game. Why can't Klopp keep a lead? You look at Manchester United, they went to the Emirates. De Gea was brilliant. But they kept that. They won that game.
We said it beforehand. Neither of those teams have got a decent defence. They can't defend. You can't expect to win something conceding 2-3 goals every single week. It doesn't happen. You know, no team has ever won the league with a horrendous defence. It's not going to be the case. Liverpool almost did it under Brendan Rodgers, but didn't because it was purely down to their defence, not the amount of goals that they've scored. And the same will be this season. They'll be up there with the amount of goals they score close to Man City. But their defence is just shipping goals week in, week out. And you
saw it with the Sanchez goal as well. Joe Gomez there, promising young kid, but just doesn't attack the ball at all, does he, for Sanchez?
He's been lauded, hasn't he, as one of England's playing great for England, doing great for Liverpool. It's basic.
It's an error. It's an error. You know, the first thing, and you're right about being basic. You ask kids to see the man and the ball, and his body position was wrong. He was facing the ball. thinks he can hook it over, has no idea where Sanchez is. Sanchez nips in, bang. Changes a complete dynamic of the game.
But, Matt, from when you're 2-0 down, the beauty of being a football fan, isn't it, is to have a 6 minutes like that. It just, I don't know if you feel this, sometimes you need moments to remind you just why you love football. And that 6 minutes for an Arsenal fan must have been just exhilarating.
Yeah, it's tough. You know, I know it sounds strange. You know, visiting fans come to the Emirates and they say, wow, what an amazing stadium. But actually, the stadium doesn't have much history. We've been there, I think, 12 years. But tonight, even though Arsenal didn't win the match, it felt like a really memorable night at the Emirates Stadium. And it was really galvanising, and I think it will give Arsenal some belief, even though they didn't win the match. You know, when they were 2-0 down, I don't think anybody in that stadium could have seen Arsenal not losing that match. I mean, Arsenal had lost that match already. I mean, there was no... I mean, you would wonder why you would even stay there and watch the rest of it if you're an Arsenal fan. And you know what? They came back and they fought. And so, like I say, as an Arsenal fan, believe it or not, even though we gave away, ultimately we went from winning to drawing at the end.
Is that frustrating as an Arsenal fan, knowing that you can put that sort of performance in? You did it against Tottenham. He actually played quite well against Manchester United. Peppered their goal, but you're not doing it every week.
It's frustrating, but to be honest with you, it's been like that for 10 years. So we are used to it. It's not a new frustration.
So what do you want to happen?
Like I said in the first show, I think what happens is you're either one of those clubs that spends a huge amount of money, like City and United and Chelsea, or you don't. And Arsenal are not one of those clubs. And it's frustrating to some fans because we have a billionaire owner. I mean, in fact, if you put Usmanov and Kroenke together, who are the two major shareholders, they're much wealthier than Abramovich. Much wealthier than Abramovich, but for some reason they can't work together. And so I think Arsenal fans have to accept this. And I think a lot of pressure, you know, Wenger takes a lot of the blame for this in the eyes of the fans. But I can tell you, I don't think any manager at that club will be able to compete with those other three teams as long as the club doesn't spend the money.
You're a personable chap.
Well,
you could go in and could you mediate? Could you bring and Usmanov together?
I'm definitely the guy. Yeah.
Why not?
Definitely.
20%.
Why not? What, sorry?
20%.
Yeah, 20%. I'll do it.
Okay.
No, I don't know. I mean, it's a little bit of have to watch what happens at Arsenal because I don't think it'll be like this all the time. And ultimately, you know, so many things in life are about money. Somebody could come in and still buy the club off Stan Kroenke. You know, it is possible. But there are also many great things about Arsenal Football Club as well, even though not everything is great always on the pitch. In many aspects, the culture in the club is to be praised, actually, to be honest with you. So I will say that.
Looking at Liverpool, because Klopp is so media friendly, he's loved by neutrals. He does these great things. I don't even see it on YouTube. He went and did Crown Green Bowls with some pensioners in Liverpool, and it just makes you love him. It almost makes him sort of beyond criticism sometimes when he might deserve some.
It's incredible the difference between how he's treated by the media and how Mourinho's treated by the media. This is Manchester United's best season since Sir Alex Ferguson left. You know, it's been better than any other season, and Mourinho's getting pelters for the way that they play, his attitude, everything else.
Yeah, but Mourinho gets what he deserves. I mean, the other night, Mourinho, what did he say about Bristol City? He loses to Bristol City and he says, oh, they were lucky. Well, why? That's not very gracious to do.
I get that, but Klopp equally keeps losing leads, and because he's got the Fab Four, because he's playing attacking football, because he wants to play the Gegenpress and all the rest of it, he gets away with it, and nobody really gives him a lot of criticism for that.
Well, you've got a platform here if you want to. I mean,
but not in the media. The media seem to like him, and he gets away with conceding leads every single time.
Oh, I think there is a slow shift. I don't think you can ride that wave of just being media friendly. You've got to have the minerals to back it up. And unfortunately, Klopp has been found out a few times with substitutions, tactical, maybe too much rotation, etc., etc. So, look, I'm not saying the wheels are coming off. You know, he's going to be very, very disappointed. But you've got to think, OK, you're 2-0 up away to Arsenal. Well, it's no shame in shutting up shop. There's no shame in going to one of your peers and going, let's just win this game and get out of it.
Is he turned into a bit like Arsene Wenger? Wenger, you as an Arsenal, you knew for years you needed a decent goalkeeper, you needed a centre-half and a commanding midfielder. It's because everyone's telling Jurgen Klopp he needs centre-halves and a goalkeeper. He's going, no, I'm going to stick with what I got and I'm going to believe. It almost seems like, well, the more you tell the media, tell him this is what you need, he's going to go, no, I'm going to do it my own way.
You're in the media. Are you saying he's stubborn?
Yeah. Arsene Wenger is stubborn.
Oh, Arsene Wenger's stubborn, and at times Arsene Wenger is imperious. And you long sometimes for a little bit more humility from him. But he's a survivor and he's a fighter as well, and he's still there after 21 years.
And he's proven it sort of season after season.
Yeah.
Klopp is still unproven, and he's being stubborn already. There's the goalkeeper issue's been there for ages. Centre-half issue they haven't addressed.
I think they'll have to address it. I think it's coming to a point now where he has to do something, because you know, you can't keep going on this way. You can't keep losing games or drawing games from winning positions. It should be out of sight.
The goalkeeper issue is the biggest thing for me that they need to sort out, you know. Because he's not bad, Mignolet, but to be seriously challenging for the title, you just need the best.
True, but Firmino and Coutinho have the best teeth in the Premier League. I mean, I don't know if you've seen where you're sitting.
Yeah.
They are bright and glistening.
In that kit as well.
Klopp looks like he's had his done as well.
Yeah, well, we've got
glorious.
good info
We've got
about that.
intel on that. And we'll tell you all about it in part 2. And we will go to the break, as we have done every time this show, with the choir.
I'm dreaming of a white Christmas, with every Christmas card I write. May your days be merry and bright, and may all your Christmases be white. Christmases be white. Sleigh bells ring, are you listening? In the lane, snow is glistening. A beautiful sight, we're happy tonight, walking in a winter wonderland. Gone away is the bluebird, here to stay is the new bird. He sings a love song as we go along, walking in a winter wonderland.
Baubles and warbles. On and off the bar. Good evening, I'm Max Rushden. Matt Lucas, Phil Babb, Danny Mills here. Hey, Phil, we're going to do your pub five-a-side team. Because we're in a pub. This is the five-a-side team, best players you ever played with in the history of your career.
Okay.
Spanning some great sides.
Great players as well.
Oh, yeah.
A difficult one.
Okay.
Difficult one.
Should we start in goal?
We start in goal. Arguably the greatest. Peter Schmeichel.
And,
Just his
and most
size.
people watching going, when did you play with Peter Schmeichel?
Yeah, when I left Liverpool, I went over to Portugal, played with Sporting Lisbon. But Schmeichel, just his sheer size, he just lies in front of that five-a-side goal. He will be hard to beat.
Okay. Is his distribution good enough in five-a-side?
Yeah, he could probably just throw it into the other goal.
Yeah.
Easy.
Fair enough. Did he ever shout at you? Did you ever have a proper
all
Schmeichel
the time?
in your face?
90 minutes, he never stopped shouting. It's amazing.
And at Sporting, you were there with Cristiano Ronaldo.
Yep.
Doesn't make your sides.
It doesn't.
But you did nail him early in his career.
What do you mean, nail?
Come on, Phil.
It's a family show.
Now, Philip, thought it was the audience that would misbehave. You took him out, didn't you?
These innuendos. Yeah, I did. First ever training session, he came at me and no one had seen him. And done a couple of step overs, went round me, smashed it in the top bin. All the lads are laughing and mugged me off. I was a senior pro, this little kid made me look stupid. So he came at me again, done a couple of step overs, went round and let's just say I used the dark arts to send him on his backside.
Tell us your first outfield player then.
First outfield player, defensively, will be the Black Pearl himself, Paul Mccraw. Absolute genius of a football player. Only had one knee, but intelligent, skillful, had the lot, just brilliant. It was an honour to play alongside him in the World Cup for Ireland, and learnt a lot. Just a fantastic defender.
Who's in front of him?
Oh, it was alongside him, I'm going to say.
Okay, alongside, that's fine.
I'm going to throw a little left fielder in here.
Okay.
Andre Cruz, Brazilian international, played with him at Sporting Lisbon. Hammer of a left foot, free kick specialist, but just an amazing professional. Made me a better player when I went over there, and yeah, just technically one of the best players I've ever played alongside as well.
2 players to go.
2 players. One absolute superstar, Johnny Barnes. Crowd go bananas. Absolute star. You can never get the ball off him in training. One of the greatest players of all time, you could say.
This footage is so old, it's not even widescreen.
It's incredible. Even this, you know, he was getting on in years there, but showed his athleticism. He was putting on a little bit of timber around the midriff, but still, we're playing in the Premier League.
Wasn't he marvellous in those Lucas Aid Sport adverts?
Oh, after 90 minutes of sheer hell, you're going to get Thursday.
Wonderful performance.
World in motion.
Wonderful.
Great actor.
It down.
Who's your final player?
Final player. Very seen at this time of year, God himself. Robbie Fowler, or as they call him in Russia, Ruben Fuller.
Ruben Fuller.
Ruben Fuller. Yeah, what can you say? Trickery, skill, doesn't need the pace, but certainly knows where the back of the net is. One of the best natural goal scorers of all time.
Played against him?
Played against him, played with him.
Yeah.
Yeah, just one of the best finishers of all time. Giving the ball anywhere around the box was just brilliant. I remember it, chipping David James once. Jamo's, what, 6'5"?
4'5",
Stick his arms in, about 8 foot tall. And Robbie was about 12 yards out and just dinked it over him. I think Jamo chased him around the pitch.
Great
He was just incredible finisher.
Brilliant side, Phil. You've done your five-side team, Matt. We're going to get that after we've done this video, which is a fan filmmaker piece. We do one every single time we do In Off the Bar. This time we're focusing on Liverpool. Jackie McCassie's worked tirelessly to encourage girls to watch football matches, and here's her story.
I'm Jackie McCassie. I am the creator, chief photographer of Girl Fans, which is a fanzine which celebrates and acknowledges female supporters of the Premier League. Grew up supporting Liverpool because through the glory years, my mum used to take us to all the parades. And I guess when I was really young, I thought it was men that did go to football. Girl Fans started in 2013. I went along to Anfield to the first home game. There's so many women, young women, going into the game. After that, I did some research about kind of statistics in the Premier League and just how many women were actually attending live matches. And at the time that was, I think it was 23%. So the idea was to document them, to produce a fanzine. So we came back to Anfield and we photographed fans throughout that season. Girl fans was needed because I felt at that particular time in 2013 that female fans were just completely invisible. If you go to the game and if you sit in a crowd, you'll see women. But outside of the stadium, I just thought, you know, they weren't being talked about and they weren't seen really. Hence why I did a photographic project. We're seeing more women on television. I also think the rise in coverage of women's football has kind of helped a lot as well.
Quite a long way to go still, but I think, yeah, perceptions have definitely changed. It helps when the national teams are doing well in major competitions. The league gets a lot more media attention and things like that. So I think, you know, you get more contact with actual professionals as well. So I think all these things kind of help the game grow.
Today is the end of a chapter as I turn the lights out on my England career. But I go forward without limits, and I know it's about making that fear a tailwind instead of a headwind as I leave one exciting career and I enter another. I'm grateful to the people that continue to believe in my talents and have allowed me to start making the transition into broadcast media.
I think it's really important for women to be encouraged to go to football. I think there are an incredible amount of passionate fans who may be sitting at home watching it on television. I think there needs to be just a more inclusive kind of way of getting to football as well. I'm going to carry on photographing the supporters from every club in the Premier League. And who knows, maybe one day the statistics will be 50% male, 50% female.
Good stuff, Jackie. Keep doing that work. Laura Woods has hot-footed it from the Emirates.
Hi.
How are you, Laura?
I'm very well, thank you.
Enjoy the game?
I love the game. I feel like we're parents at the other end of the table. It's very weird, actually, isn't it?
Yes.
Sensible enough to be parents?
Maybe not.
Or old enough?
Maybe not for you. I did enjoy the game. It was excellent, actually. I enjoyed the second half. We were just talking about this.
Yeah.
The second half was immense. The first time it was like two different Arsenal teams and two different Liverpool sides as well, actually. It was completely different. The first half felt dreadfully familiar to the last time we played Liverpool, and I was so worried it was going to be more than two, and it should have really been more than two.
Oh yeah.
Mo Salah was incredible. There were parts where him and Mane, I just was covering my face in anguish, but something happened in the second half, and they came out completely reversed it. 3 goals in 5 minutes for Arsenal. I thought it was amazing. And that's the kind of Arsenal team that you want to see all year round, really.
3 goals every 5 minutes that they play. That's what you want.
3 goals in 5 minutes. Yeah, I would love that. Or
now,
at least 3 goals every game.
This show relies on you getting post-match reaction. There is none, Laura Woods. I don't want to fire you on air. Woodsy, where is it?
I was there. I was waiting outside Jeff Shrews' little box room where he does his interviews.
All right.
But unfortunately, FNF, well, good for FNF, bad for us. They interviewed both managers again. They had 2 players as well, I think. They used up all the allocations.
Is it Jeff Shreves' fault?
It's basically Jeff's fault, yeah. Thanks, Jeff.
It's not very Christmas spirit from Jeff Shreves, is it? Matt, we were going to do your five-a-side team. We didn't tell you about this before the show.
No, it's all right.
Since we were asking Phil, it's only polite to ask you.
Well, so my five-a-side team is comprised solely of Arsenal players.
OK, right.
I didn't play alongside any of these players.
No, that's OK.
In goal, David Seaman.
Yeah.
It's hard to argue against that one. And my favourite save he ever made was against Sheffield United in that FA Cup semi-final.
Paul Pescashalido.
Yeah.
Scored it off the line.
Wonderful.
It was behind him, wasn't it?
I don't even know what he did still to this day.
2003.
Yeah, wonderful.
Oh, right, OK.
Too much information.
In front of David Seaman...
you wanted to pick Tony Adams.
I did.
And then these guys...
You know, and I think I've gone for Patrick Vieira just because if anybody tries anything on with any of our players, Vieira
He's double hard, isn't he?
is going to make sure no funny business.
We didn't bully him. We have to say that.
Yeah.
We didn't bully him to pick him.
No.
This is Matt Lucas's team. It's not your
Exactly.
team.
Yeah, it's
not
But we had to think, we had to explain about the format and what the key elements are.
And I
then
think they were,
when you're right.
They were helpful.
They were very helpful.
Okay.
It was a little insidious, but they were helpful.
Yeah, okay.
David Rocastle is in that team. I don't need to explain why. He's my favourite player ever. I grew up watching him, and he represented George Graham's Arsenal and the excitement that brought.
No Paul Merson?
No Paul Merson.
Oh, Merson.
So I got to pick Dennis Bergkamp on the other side, and then up front Thierry Henry, and that was hard to choose between him and Wrighty. But I think there's something about five-a-side football, you don't have a lot of space, and so to be able to kind of weave and dribble and do all of that really good stuff, and I think Thierry Henry is really good at that. But let's put Wrighty on the bench and definitely give him, as Wenger would, the last 20 minutes.
Okay. That's a great side.
It's a great team.
Which of the current Arsenal team and the Liverpool team we've seen today, Danny, are best equipped for top 4?
Out of Arsenal, Liverpool.
And do you think as we've seen them and Spurs for 4th place, or is it too early to say Chelsea could fall down into that? I just think they look strong, Chelsea.
I mean, I said at the start of the season that Arsenal would finish 7th.
Really?
You know, I was worried for them. I worry about if Sanchez goes in the window.
Yeah.
Worry about what happens if Ozil goes. Can they be replaced?
Yeah.
But, it's a toss of a coin. Yeah. I mean, it's very, very difficult to decide. I mean, Tottenham have underperformed. I think all 3 of them are in the mix for 4th, 5th and 6th at the moment. And then there's Burnley.
Well, yeah, Burnley play Spurs as well, don't they? What do you reckon, Phil?
I agree. I mean, even today, you couldn't really call the game, and you said it's going to be a score draw. Of course, it's not. There's flaws in both those starting 11s. There's flaws in both the squads. I think it depends on, certainly if Liverpool can recruit well, that will give them a better push. And you never know what Arsenal's going to do in a January transfer window. If he loses key players, he's got to bring some decent players back in of a quality that's going to match those going out. And he doesn't like to do that in January. So I would say possibly, I think Chelsea will stay in the top 4, possibly 3rd. And I think Liverpool might just sneak it.
What do you reckon, Matt? Are you backing Arsenal to get into the top 4? Or do you? I sort of feel this obsession with the top 4 compared to just going to win the Europa League, go and win some silverware, you know?
I think partly it depends on how Arsenal do in the Europa League, because certainly Mourinho took his foot off the gas last season when Man United got in the final, and so Arsenal are still in with a shout of getting in the Europa final, and I think there's a Champions League qualifying place available for that. I think looking at it now, out of Arsenal, Liverpool, Tottenham, you'd probably fancy Liverpool to get that 4th place, but Arsenal did qualify 20 out of the last 21 seasons, I think, for the Champions League, and so that experience might serve them well when it comes to the end of the season. If I was sitting here right now, I'd probably say Liverpool.
We've pretty much run out of time. Matt, you have a book out.
Yes, I do.
Buy it. Tell us about it.
It's called Little Me, and if you haven't done your Christmas shopping yet, go and get it. It's my autobiography, Little Me. Thank you and goodbye.
And that's it. Thanks very much to Matt Lucas, everybody. Thank you to Phil Babb. Thank you to Danny Mills. Thank you to Laura Woods. We will leave you with the choir. Baubles and warbles.
We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Good tidings we bring to you and your kin. We wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.